Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and today we are talking about how Nintendo has revealed surprising new hardware in Nintendo Sound Clock Alarmo. So we're going to be talking about this new hardware, but at the same time, we are going to be addressing some conversations and questions about Nintendo Switch 2. What does this mean for the Switch 2 reveal? Because some people think it does have some implications, and we do have some updates from a few different insiders on this end as well. So that's what we're getting into today. But before going forward, let me ask that if you do enjoy my content, to please subscribe and hit that notification bell. So Nintendo today tweets out, "Wake up! Nintendo's Sound Clock Alarmo is available for early access for Nintendo Switch Online members in the US and Canada. This interactive alarm clock lets you set a time and select from 35 scenes from across 5 Nintendo titles. More titles to be added later." Learn more here at this website. Nintendo Sound Clock Alarmo is available online at My Nintendo Store and in person, Nintendo New York City, and will become available at retailers in early 2025. Okay, so this is going to be in stores in early 2025. That is interesting, but for early access, we can get it sooner. Moving on to the website here, we can see that yes, it is $99.99, it's $100 USD. And here we can see some different pictures of the device. Looks like this little grip thing here does light up. There are multiple buttons, it looks like. There is a back button and also a message or email button of some kind. Looking at the actual panel, there does seem to be little things that tells you, like when you're connected to Wi-Fi, if you have a message, if you're in Do Not Disturb or sleep mode, I suppose. Here it tells you when the alarm is actually going to go off versus just the time, given that it is indeed a clock and of course the date. But moving on to some of the descriptions they have for this. Make waking up fun with Nintendo Sound Clock Alarmo. Introduce a little play to your wake-up routine with Alarmo, the interactive alarm clock from Nintendo. Start the day off right with fun animations, sounds, and characters from some of your favorite games. You can even snooze the alarm with gestures and end it by getting out of bed, thanks to Alarmo's motion sensor. This is the wave sensor thing we talked about a few days ago from the SEC filing, which we'll get into more a little bit later here. But here it says, how does it work? Select a title, pick a scene, set a time, and let Alarmo handle the rest. In the morning, you'll experience immersive sounds and music from the scene you picked, followed by a game element arriving to help you wake up. Before the alarm, a character from the title you selected waits patiently on screen. Okay, there's Mario just sleeping on screen there. The alarm begins, Mario is up. Gentle sounds unique to the scene you've chosen begin to play. A visitor arrives. After a few seconds, someone or something from the scene you picked will appear. Wave your hand or move your body to make the clock quieter. Depending on the title you've chosen, you might also hear coins or other familiar game sounds when you interact with Alarmo. That sounds really cool. A brief snooze. Eventually, your visit will end and gentle sounds will play again until your visitor returns. This will repeat a number of times if you stay in bed. Okay? Time to get up. If you stay in bed too long, your alarm will get more intense and you'll get a visit from someone more persuasive. Bowser might be able to get me out of bed. That is possible. You did it. When you get all the way out of bed, the alarm will stop and you'll be treated to a brief victory fanfare. Hoorah! That is cool. Actually, I like that Mario jumping animation picture there. I just like, before even continuing, I personally actually do struggle with my sleep schedule. So I kind of am debating getting this. Like, it is pricey, but it also seems like a cool Nintendo item to have, and it might make my room just a little bit more interesting. So I'm personally actually very much thinking about this. But continuing on with what they have to say here. Wake up in the world of Nintendo. Choose from 35 scenes inspired by Nintendo Switch games like Super Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild. Link your Nintendo account and use the built-in Wi-Fi to download additional titles like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Animal Crossing New Horizons in free updates as they become available. I'm looking forward to those updates. And yeah, it's Ring Fit Adventure, Pikmin, actually Pikmin 4 might be will go to, for me, Splatoon, Zelda, and Mario, of course. And that's just some more images of the clock. More than just a clock, Alarmo lets you add Nintendo soundscapes and characters to your living space, keeps track of your sleep for you, and so much more. The all-day experience, add Nintendo ambience to your living space with an hourly chime and sleepy sounds themed to your chosen scene. Okay, that is curious. I think that does add a little bit more to the experience, I suppose. Yeah, okay. Wake your way. Choose steady mode for an alarm that gradually gets more intense the longer you stay in bed, or use gentle mode for a more consistent experience. Oh, alright. Yeah, that'll help me get out of bed, I suppose. Hands-free. Alarmo has a sensor that reacts to your movements, so you can snooze the alarm with gestures and end it by getting out of bed. Try button mode if you prefer a more traditional alarm clock, of course. Track your sleep patterns. Oh, okay. Check your record to learn about the time you spent in bed, like how much you've been moving around in your sleep. Actually, I really like this. Again, I have sleep troubles, so I'm very curious on stuff like this. Take a closer look at Nintendo Sound Clock Alarmo. Confirm button and dial, the notification button, okay, that makes sense. The back button, motion sensor, so you can't actually see it, but it is there. A 2.8-inch LCD screen, brightness sensor, oh, alright. Very cool. The back, let's take a look at the back. Oh, that was a nice little flip there. The speaker, okay. I see, I guess it's these little holes here. A USB-C cable, 2 AC adapter, USB-C power supply, makes sense. What's in the box? The cable, the alarm. Alright, I assume that the adapter is also inside of this as well. So this is me actually coming in after my initial recording here, because I went ahead and double checked, and there is not an AC adapter coming with the clock package. It says it in the trailer itself in the little small text at the bottom, no AC adapter included, which to me is actually pretty annoying. You literally need the adapter. The cable won't do anything. You need the cable to connect to an AC adapter into the wall so it works like a normal clock or anything at all, because it needs actual energy. So I don't like this. I recognize that a lot of people just have these things lying around, but yeah, I kind of wish they included it, especially because the clock is already $100. Okay, so some commonly asked questions. What bed sizes are compatible with Alarmo? Alarmo is compatible with twin to king size beds, so everything. Maybe not a hammock. Maybe it could still be a hammock if you position yourself right, or maybe not, because it's, I don't know. A hammock might affect the movement a little bit. But here, where is the best place to put Alarmo? Alarmo should be placed facing the center of the bed within arm's reach and no higher than 8 inches above the sleeper. And this is why maybe a hammock might not work well. It's going to be kind of challenging to position the clock if you're in a hammock, but perhaps not impossible. Can Alarmo be used if you have multiple sleepers and or pets in bed? If there's more than one sleeper in the bed, we recommend using button mode for the best experience. Now, I do let my cat sleep on my bed, so I wonder if she'll cause too much disruptions with the motion sensor here. Yeah, but I'm still very much interested in this. This is pretty cool stuff. But guess what? There's more. Nintendo put out a 4-chapter volume on the Ask Developer series. Volume 14 is all about Nintendo Alarmo. Not a game, but Alarmo. And there are some very interesting things that are discussed here. So we're not going to read the entire interview, right? I'll have it linked in the description below, but I am going to go over some key points. Chapter 1, an alarm clock that's out of the ordinary, made by Nintendo. First, could you briefly introduce yourselves? Hi, I'm Yosuke Tamori. I'm a member of the Entertainment Planning and Development Department, and as a producer for Alarmo, I oversaw the project as a whole. In the past, I was involved in the development of Splatoon for Wii U and Nintendo Labo for Nintendo Switch as a game software designer. First off, Splatoon 1, extreme creativity levels there. Nintendo Labo, the same. So I do kind of see that energy going into this, and I love it. I love what we're seeing here and the creativity with Nintendo Alarmo. Akama, hello. I'm Tetsuya Akama. I'm a member of the Technology Development Department, and I joined this project as a director. I was originally a product designer. Recently, I was involved in hardware projects such as the Joy-Con grip for Nintendo Switch and the Joy-Con wheel. Cool stuff. First off, I love the Joy-Con grip. I know that might seem really basic, but just consider that when you plug in your Joy-Cons into the Joy-Con grip, the light from the Joy-Con shines through, and you can see it on this plastic grip that doesn't have actually any sort of like electrical circuitry or anything like that. But you can still see the lights there. So that to me is really cool and just shows like really smart design. But moving on with this interview here. Nowadays, Nintendo mainly creates game consoles and software. So this product is a bit unorthodox, wouldn't you say? How did this unorthodox project start? Tamori. One of our in-house projects was to research motion sensor technology. As this sensor maintains privacy since it doesn't use a camera, we had an idea for how it could be highly suitable for use in the bedroom. So we decided to kick off a new project to see what we could do with it. How does a motion sensor work? Akama. It is generally known as a radio wave sensor. To put it simply, it uses the reflection of radio waves to measure the distance from and speed of an object. Self-driving cars, drones, and robots are equipped with sensors like these to help avoid collisions. The key feature is that it can recognize very subtle movements, and unlike cameras, it doesn't need to film videos, so privacy is better protected compared to cameras. Since it uses radio waves, it can be used in dark rooms. It can also detect movements even if there are obstacles, as long as the radio waves can pass through. So this is really cool stuff, and this essentially confirms that SEC filing we talked about, this weird Nintendo hardware that Nintendo's working on, it is this. This is what it is. It's using the radio wave sensor, which we saw in the filing, and this makes a lot of sense. So by measuring the radio waves, right, it can read movements through like bed sheets and things like that. More accurate movement in that way. And it's also private. It's something that is suitable for the bedroom. So people won't feel uncomfortable about a camera tracking your movements throughout the night. And to see what they came up with, this technology, is extremely interesting. And it just sort of shows this continued approach by Nintendo of taking existing technology and finding a different way to use it. Skipping ahead to chapter 3 here though. Not your average alarm clock. So you arrived at the idea of creating an alarm clock that's out of the ordinary. After a lot of trial and error, but I imagine you didn't decide on the design and specifications right away. What transformations did it undergo? Akama, we've brought along some prototypes today. Here's an early prototype. And so what's actually extremely interesting about this, if you guys remember, recently we talked about how we were seeing from the SEC filing that this may have been like a cube-like device, and it looks like the early prototype was a cube-like device. Like this looks exactly like what we thought it would look like. Of course, the final version, not so much. But it's very interesting that this is what they started with. As they say, this looks very different from the final product. Tamori, back then it still didn't have an LCD screen, but instead used a display system called a dot matrix LED, similar to the one used on electronic billboards with LEDs lined up. However, from a software developer's perspective, we thought it was important for people to be able to use it smoothly without an instruction manual. We felt that this display system wouldn't be able to communicate the instructions sufficiently. It was especially difficult to explain the product's new features, such as the motion sensor. But I'm just going to go ahead and just skip ahead here and just show you they had another prototype here, and apparently the internals were in this bottom part, and this was just like the imagery stuff here. So it's very interesting how they kind of advanced, and you can see the progression of the prototypes until the final product. So this is some pretty cool stuff. And now I'm skipping ahead to chapter 4 and reading this one last part here. Again, there are other interesting parts to this interview, but this part I felt was somewhat important. The other mode, button mode, is like a normal alarm clock, right? Tamori. Yes. The motion sensor is designed to be at its most responsive and function best when Alarmo is used by one person. But I'm sure there are many families who sleep together in the same room. Because of the nature of the sensor, even if one person gets out of bed, the sensor may detect that other family members are still in bed and continue to play the alarm. Of course, if everyone gets out of bed, it will stop. However, the situation varies depending on the household, So in order to accommodate a variety of circumstances, we added a mode that will stop the alarm when you press the dial button. So I was curious on this, seeing how it would work with multiple people, if there's a pet, things like that. I'm by my own, so it's fine for now, but how will it work in the future? I'm very curious on that, and it looks like button mode, it'll just function mostly like a clock, but you'll have that cool Nintendo theming. So I'm curious on this stuff. I definitely want to check out this clock. It's $100, which seems kind of steep for a clock, but I don't know, I'm kind of thinking about it. Like, it seems like a very interesting device. But many are wondering if this is the Switch 2 reveal. Obviously, it's not the Switch 2. But some people have grown concerned because we go back to last month. Paul Gale from Paul Gale Network, friend of the channel. I cannot verify this firsthand, but something huge just came my way. Supposedly, quite recently, a trailer-like commercial was filmed to promote a certain next-generation console. If this is indeed the case, I think we are 1 to 6 weeks away from a reveal. So what's fascinating about this is that this alarm clock has arrived within that window, and it is a filmed trailer. There are actors and things like that. And so I actually asked Paul, hey, is there a chance that this might be related? Is it possible that what you heard was this trailer for this alarm clock and not the Switch 2? And he said, yeah, it's possible. He didn't say for sure. He said, yeah, it's possible. But looking at this tweet here, it seems like there is talk of there being a next generation console. So I'm very curious on the level of interpretation that was going on here. I understand how this might leave some concerned. However, we go to Family Boards. Now here we have PH Brazil. For those who are unfamiliar, he is a journalist, and most recently, he was talking about how a number of presentations will be moved up into August because of Switch 2 plans. And we got several presentations in August. A partner showcase, a museum direct, the Indie World showcase, that all happened. There wasn't a September direct. And here, Brazil says, I haven't learned about the clock today, and I'm still Team 2024. For those who are confused, Brazil is talking about how he already knew about the clock. That's what he's getting at here. And here we see Nintendo posted like a GIF of what you mean by that. Going back to what Brazil initially said, BY2K had said, it's never been more over than it is over now. Switch 2 in 2025. Brazil says, meh. Point being, Brazil still thinks the Switch 2 reveal is happening in 2024. The reporting has been very accurate as of late. I don't necessarily doubt the Switch 2 reveal. I don't think Nintendo Alarmo is cause for alarm for the Switch 2 reveal necessarily. I think perhaps we can try and temper expectations a little bit here, because it's possible that maybe what Paul Gill heard about was for an alarm clock and not a next generation console. But I do kind of find it hard to believe that whoever might have provided this tip for Paul would confuse an alarm clock for a next generation console. But that's the thing with rumors. Someone hears or sees something, tells it to someone else. Some things can be lost in translation, especially when there are continuing degrees of separation here, right? So, yeah, I think we can be a little skeptical, sure, but I also think there's plenty of room for optimism still. I don't think this really takes too much away from anything. But only time will really tell. And at least we have an alarm clock to help us tell the time. Okay, I'm done with the puns. But let me know what you all think of Nintendo Alarmo, of Nintendo Switch 2. I'm curious what you all have to say in the comments below. This is AndresRestart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.